Good morning, everyone. Welcome for the conference. So this is What's New in Power BI. My name is Siva. I'm part of the product team in Seattle. And so for a few sessions, I'm going to be co-presenting this with Marc. And then we'll be interchanging between various sections of this presentation. Take it away from here, Marc.
All right, welcome as well from my side, everyone. My name is Marc Schöni. I'm a technical solution professional here with Microsoft in Switzerland. So I have the great pleasure to do this session together with Siva. And we're going to first kick it off by giving you an overview of, what is Power BI really, and we're going to see how much we're going to look into that. And then talk about the momentum that we see in the market for that. And then we'll dig a little deeper into the individual components. So looking at the Power BI desktop in more detail, so what has happened there over the past months and so on. Siva will then take it away, do the same thing for Power BI service. And we'll wrap it up by looking at some of the solution templates that hopefully everybody's aware of. And talk a little bit about the importance of community and how every one of you in this room can contribute to making Power BI a better product, essentially. So let me first kick it off by quickly asking, who of you has never seen Power BI? Quick raise of hands. Okay, one person who has never actually hands-on used it. Okay, there's a few people who have never seen it. So we just want to give a brief overview of, in a nutshell, what is it all about? And this is dedicated to you, basically. So it's all about, combining all the data that's relevant to you, to your business, to your team, whether that's cloud-born, whether that's on-premise, whether that's in a database or in an Excel file or in some unstructured form, and basically making sense of it so that we can enable actionable insights for the people in your team, right? And Power BI in and by itself consists of various components. So we have some software as a service content packs. So for example, if you use Google Analytics, you can hook in Power BI into that, have a dashboard up and running in as little as 2 minutes. Then we have the real-time dashboard and reports. That's the report part is what we're going to talk about most in this session here. We have stuff like custom visuals, which we will talk about. And ultimately, it's really about unleashing your data, making it visible to everyone that needs access to it in the organization. I'm very happy to see that Gartner is also recognizing the investments and the great work that Siva and his team basically put in, and so many other people are involved in this, that we are on top of the quadrant here. If you look at previous quadrants, you can see the development sort of where we've been coming from and ultimately where this has led us. And Siva, will you quickly talk about how we basically work and enable this great experience?
Yeah, so Power BI consists of a set of products overall, right? Marc talked about the service and the desktop, but there are other components as well. So as part of that, everything gets released on a very, very periodic cadence. So you don't have to wait for a long number of months or years. The Power BI service gets released every week, right? So we've been doing this since we started the public preview of Power BI, which is probably looks like ages since we started that. And since 2014, we've been shipping the service every single week. And the Power BI desktop, which includes a lot of functionality and features, that gets shipped every month. So in terms of the cadence, this is kind of unforeseen in terms of cadence, and even within Microsoft. So we set up more new trend in terms of how to ship the products and features on a very, very fast cadence so that we can experiment, we can put it into the cloud, get the feedback from all of the users, and then actually ship all of these features. So that helps in terms of customers are loving it in terms of they see a lot of the features coming in very, very fast, so they don't have to wait for a very long time. We've seen some of the customers going into production with an understanding that some of the features are going to be coming very soon. Overall, it's been great for us. And the community and the customers are actually giving feedback what features they want. So that's where we have a public forum in terms of if you go to ideas.powerbi.com, people go and request for features. And that helps prioritize what features we should look at from customer perspective. And we prioritize the features and being able to deliver this as quickly as possible so that it adds customer value overall. And along with that is the community, which Marc talked about. We have more than 300,000 active members coming to the community, being able to contribute, being able to leverage it, and be a community in terms of MVPs helping with the answers, as well as community posting in terms of new reports, new themes, new custom visuals. All of this has made a great success in terms of overall, in terms of Power BI. Okay, take it over, Marc.
So do you want to do the demo quickly about the features?
Let's do a, so do you know when Power BI was generally available first? Do you know which date it was generally available? Anyone?
Well, I know, but I wouldn't get a T-shirt, I think. So.
So I got some T-shirts as well, so if someone knew the answer. But we have been shipping features since we had a public preview December 18th of 2014. And Power BI actually was generally available on July 24th. We're coming up to close to 2 years right now. And we've been shipping a lot of features across Power BI Service, desktop, mobile, everything. And any guess in terms of total number of features we have shipped so far in the last close to 2.5 years? Any guess? 800. Okay. Anyone? Anyone else?
That's pretty good.
Any guess you can take? Okay, so we have actually a Power BI report. So this actually shows all of the features and functionality in terms of that's been shipping. So I'm going to remove this. So you can see actually overall close to 900 features that's been shipped. This report is completely available for everyone to go and download from the community. You can actually go and see what are the features, when did they ship, and you also, when you go into individual details of these, you also have links to these features and functionality when they got shipped. So you can actually go and explore this. So we have close to 900 features which are shipped. So you mentioned 800. You should stop by and pick up one of the T-shirts after the presentation.
So as we said, Power BI, it consists of various components. These are basically the ones that we can think of. And for the remainder of the session, as I already alluded to, we're going to first dig into the desktop, and then Siva will take over, talk about the Power BI service. In this session alone, we will not talk about stuff like the on-premise gateway, report server, and so on. However, I want to remind you that Siva will have a dedicated session for the reporting on premises, so report server part, which I encourage you to go to. So first, let's dig into the Power BI desktop. And if we think, what we are doing with the desktop, it's basically a repeating pattern, right? We always have to connect to a certain data source first, and then apply some data preparation, some data wrangling to bring data into the right format and make sure we got all the stuff that we need. And then we look at analysis and finally the visualization. So we're going to follow this particular flow here and start off with what's new in connectivity and data preparation. And if you look at the report that Siva just showed in terms of the number of features that have been released over the last years, you will see that the area that has seen the most features actually is data connectivity, because we did put a lot of work into enabling scenarios connecting to new data sources and the likes. So this is just a 6 months, looking back kind of view of the things that have happened. I don't expect you to read all of that. There are a lot of nice things in here, certainly relevant for many of our customers, are things around SAP connection, bringing in data from these systems. Azure Analysis Services is on there as well. And the two things that we want to have a look at real quick is basically connecting to data sets in the Power BI service, as well as adding column by examples, which I think is a very neat enhancement. So let's switch to demo quickly. And the first thing I want to do is connect to a data model that resides in Power BI service. So we've got a lot of feedback from the community, basically saying, hey, it's all nice, I build the report here in Power BI desktop, I publish it to the web, and then what happens with the model and everything? So is there a way of getting the report out of the Power BI service, essentially? And the way that we enable this is we allow you to connect to a model, or a report in that case, that is already available in the Power BI service. So if you go to the Get Data dialog, go to Power BI service, and you will see the workspaces and where you're logged in. So this is obviously personalized to myself here. And in my workspace, there is one example. What should I pick? Maybe I just pick Swiss football. And then I load this, and what happens is basically it establishes a real-time connection to the model. It's not actually bringing in the data, it's a connection to the data model itself. And this then allows me to build the report that I wanted to build and take it away from here. So this is the easiest way to get, to connect to a data model that someone else has built and start building your own reports based off of that. And then the second example we wanted to talk about quickly here is, let's say you have some data that you get from somewhere in the web, something like population by countries, on the Wikipedia table or something like that. So that's the source we're going to use. So let's do, again, a new report here, and then get that data in. And that what we want to show is how can we basically teach, if you will, Power BI to create a new column based on examples that we give as humans. So let's get that data in from the website here. And what you will see is the query dialog, basically, showing the items it has discovered on the website. In this case, that's what we want to use, and we want to edit it before we do anything. So it brings in the data now. And who of you has actually already worked with that function called derive by example? Is that something or somebody has already used? Okay, it's new, that's good, that's why we want to show it, right? So if I go to edit queries here, you see that column from example, I don't know why it's grayed out now. Let me do that again. So let's see. So this time it works. So here's the button, almost hidden in the menu bar. It says column from examples. What it allows you to do is either select one or multiple input columns. So in this case, I'm going to select the year, or let's select year as the input column. And then I get this column 1 here, which allows me to specify the example, and it will then basically try to guess or try to learn the pattern that I'm after to export the data from here. So if I'm just going to say 2017, it's going to recognize that most likely what I want to do is just extract the year number from this string here, and I then introduce that as a new column. If I want to do more complex stuff from all columns, I can go ahead and say the column that I try to create is something like China year of 2017, and it will then recognize that I'm looking after the country, add some text string year of, and then extract the year from the date field. So it's pretty powerful. It can do more complex stuff than what we've just shown, but I think it's a good, let's say, teaser, if you will, to give you an idea of what's possible here.
Yeah, the main thing, just to add a couple of key points. One of the common questions, or probably the topmost questions I hear from various customers: does Power BI connect to this data source, that data source, right? So that's why we've invested a lot in terms of connectivity pieces, and as well as whoever is doing the importing of the data and creating the reports, make their life as simple as possible. You don't have to learn a lot of functions and everything. Make it as simple as possible. You saw how easy it was. It was recognizing as much as possible, making the life of the data analyst who's preparing this report as simple as possible. So we talked about data connectivity and a little bit about data preparation. So let's jump into modeling and analytics. Here, few interesting things have happened. There's a new matrix and a new table visual, which are very powerful. It allows conditional formatting and so on. And we're going to have a very quick view at quick measures. So what does that look like? So in here I have the table, the new matrix table. And one of the things that the quick measures allows me to do is if I go to the measure here, so in this case we're looking at product sales by year and by a product category, so standard like pivot table display. So
The quick measure here allows me to create a new measure on the fly, if you will, to, for example, average something out per category. What's very interesting, I think, here in this case is you can do year-to-date, quarter-to-date calculations and the like. I mean, all of this was possible before using DAX, but you had to apply DAX. And in this case, what happens is the quick measure creates the DAX statement for you. What's also nice here, many people actually don't know, is that you can show a value as a part of the percentages. So here we're looking at the absolute numbers right now, and if I want to show percentage numbers instead, you can see that I now show the share of audio equipment for a given year, and this is added up to 100% over the year, or I can switch it around to do the same for rows to get a better feeling for the absolute, the relativity in this data set here.
Yeah, again, this is also, how many of you use actually data modeling in Power BI? Can you raise your hands? Yeah. So this is again, in order to do data modeling, we have a separate specialized language called DAX. You can do any complex business calculation directly in DAX. And a lot of them, there is also a learning curve in terms of learning the DAX, data analysis expressions. Trying to simplify this, we've heard from a lot of the customers, it's complex. How can you simplify this? Again, this is an effort to simplify, okay, these are very, very common things in terms of percentage to total, percentage column total, row total, all of these, making it as simple as possible with a few mouse clicks, immediately you get the data. Right? That's the primary intent for that.
Yeah. So let's now jump into the visuals and the report view. So you see a lot of changes happening in this field. Some, very simple, if you think. So renaming axis titles, something that I wanted for a long time, which is, worth an applause. And then we look at report themes real quick, as well as the relative date slicer. So jumping back to the demo. So here, the relative date slicer. I think most of you have probably already seen the date slicer by itself, where you can slice over time, and obviously it's interactive, and the numbers will change according to what you select, right? So we have to be a little smart about what we select here. So what is new is that you can have it in a relative fashion, which allows you to say something like, I want to show data for the last 5 years, for the last 3 months, all taking into account today. So let's say last 8 years, for example, and it will adjust the report accordingly. If I go to 9, so this is taking into account the time dimension, if you will. And then one very, very much anticipated feature as well is report theming. So you probably, if you have used the Power BI desktop, you will be aware of sort of the, let's say, the standard color palette that we provide, which is what we see here. We now have the capability to bring in custom reporting themes, which allows us to specify, like in a recurring way, to always show products in the same color and so on. So we can import themes. I have some prepared here. And just select one. So you see this theme is now been applied to this visual here. And then if I bring in a new visual, bringing in sales amount, for example, and show that over product categories, in a bar chart, product category, where are you? Do something like that. There you should see, oh, that's the description, I was wrong. So you now see that the same coloring, I mean, it's not the prettiest theme that I've selected here, but you see the idea is that the coloring then gets applied to new chart elements and so on. And of course, this takes us one giant step towards corporate design, corporate identity, for the enterprise kind of scenarios.
And you can go and specify what theme your company uses, or in terms of your team, these are the colors which you want to use. Then you can automatically go and specify this, and then start utilizing it.
So speaking of visuals, I hope all of you are aware the product's capabilities to do custom visuals, right? So basically go out there and build your own visual, or have a partner like Ideologics build it for you, if it's very much tailored to your needs. So there are a lot of custom visuals that have been introduced, over the last months. And one that we're gonna show real quick here is the route map. So basically what this allows you to do is, if you have a data set that is prepared accordingly, I assume that every one of you has already seen the map visualizations and so on in Power BI, right? It's a great way to display geolocation data. So what this allows you to do is basically introduce the idea of motion. So if you want to visualize how a truck is driving from A to B, or how your customers are walking and progressing through a city, something like that, that's what this visual lets you do. So it basically takes a lat long data set and then allows you to show how the progression along a route has been, adding some arrows here, and basically showing the route as a part of the data set. And of course, it's still all interactive, as you can filter and do the things that you have accustomed to doing in the Power BI report here.
How many of you use custom visuals? Okay, very few people. Okay. Yeah, so one of the things in terms of Power BI, obviously, we are still gated by a set of engineers in terms of delivering new visual capabilities. So from ground up, when we started Power BI, we made sure that we want to open up the visualization gallery so that to every single developer, there are a lot of developers in the world, they can bring in their own custom visual, specifically what they want, and instead of making all of these requests. So we opened up the entire visualization gallery. How do they need to go and build the custom visual so that that integrates very tightly with the product with respect to cross-filtering, highlighting, all of the functionality. And then we've had a great momentum in terms of in terms of developers contributing towards the custom visuals. They submit it for approval. We go through in terms of security review, make sure it's secure, and then we publish it. And then all of the customers are actually leveraging and using the custom visuals overall. So as we talked about in terms of the desktop gets released every single month. And again, in July, we'll have the desktop release. Hopefully, sometime this week, you'll get a new desktop release. Some of the functionality, I was planning to demo a few of them right now, what's coming in July. And what customers have asked for. There's about 10 plus features in the desktop that's coming out in July. But I'm just going to show a couple of them right now. So this is a slightly different report, which we use in a lot of the training, which is called Dashboard in a Day. Few things which are there. There are some visuals which were in preview. Those are actually going general availability, so that you can start leveraging them completely in your overall workflow. The first, there are three core things which I'm planning to show. One is a lot of the customers have been asking for, I have these columns, I'm dragging and dropping, I need to go and rename this, I don't want to go and change this in the data model, I want to be able to do it in the visual. Now you have the ability to say, this is my month here. You can directly change this in terms of the overall visual here. I can actually change this here right away here. So this is essentially, at the visualization layer, I can actually go and change the column name. It'll be affected in the visual which you're using, but the base column actually has the original one. Right? So that's one of the functionality which is getting added. The second one, you saw the relative date slicer, which was shown. So relative date slicer has been very, very popular. So now what we are bringing in is the relative date slicer. Here I have a visual here with time. And as part of this, I can actually change in the filter pane here. So here in the, probably I need to zoom in. So we are bringing in relative date filtering into the filter pane as well. So once I change this into relative date filter, probably I need to change here and then come back. Give me a minute. So once I change here and come here, I can go and change in terms of whether it's in the last 30 days or X number of months, I can actually go and do this directly. You don't have to write complex calculations to actually achieve the same functionality. So this is the second one. The third key area which I wanted to highlight here is essentially the custom visuals. So here, custom visuals, initially, if you were using custom visuals, you had to go to the public site in terms of where all the custom visuals are published. You had to download them and then import them directly into your Power BI desktop file. Now we are directly integrating there from the store, right? So all of the custom visuals are moved into Office Store right now. So here you can actually come in and click on the from the store. I need to check. The second half is all, OK, so it's coming up now. So here, if you see this, now we've integrated directly into the Office Store where all the custom visuals are getting published. Now you can actually go and search here. For example, if you want to have map, you can actually go and see what are all the map visuals which are there available as custom visuals. I can actually go and do this by name or by rating also, because people are going have the ability to go and rate these visuals, how useful they are. You can leverage all of this functionality directly from the store. Okay. So these are some of the features that are coming out in July. So I highly recommend download it as soon as it comes out and start using it. Okay. I'll go back to the presentation. So now moving into the Power BI service, we have shipped about close to 45 to 50, I think 48 features in the service in the last 6 months. It's quite a lot of features, so I didn't cover that into entire slide. So what I've highlighted here is 3 key areas which we have heard from customers, which is what they were keen on. One is for the end users. How are they using Power BI? So Power BI is overall, you can aggregate all your data and share it to the end users. So they want to be able to go to the dashboard, get insights into that, into the dashboard that's been shared to them. So that's one of the key areas where we have invested a lot in terms of apps as a functionality where you publish apps to the end users. So they actually go and install the apps. And also we have simplified the navigation model so that it's much more simpler and easier for people to go and use it overall. And then we have email subscriptions for dashboards and reports. This is one of the common features a lot of the customers I talked to have been asking for. I want a snapshot of the entire dashboard or a report being sent as an email to me. The email subscription just came out, I think, last week overall. And then also in terms of going and searching, it's making it much more easier. How do they go and search? This is something which we're working on right now. And then now the second area is more in terms of scale across your organization. A lot of the customers, they want, because of Power BI is a SaaS service, it's overall shared capacity overall. They wanted to have my own capacity for my company. So we've introduced something called as Power BI Premium. This was just introduced last month. And I'll do a quick demo of Power BI Premium as well. And then third one is I want to have better tools in terms of collecting who's using the dashboards, how are they using it, so that I can go and drive change in terms of being able to completely use the data and make decisions based on the data. Okay. So these are 3 areas. So going into distribution, so when you have Power BI dashboards created, you can actually share the dashboards directly with a simple email address or a group. You can directly share this. That's what we're calling this as self-service. Now, if you want to be able to, for an enterprise company, you want to be able to manage this completely. I want to share a collection of artifacts in terms of dashboards and reports. I want to be able to package that and together and share it to the end users. Then what we have introduced is apps as a way to share all of these packaged in a single unified container. It's very, very similar to you downloading an app and installing an app on your tablet or phone. That's what we have introduced right now. Okay, so show a quick demo of apps. So when you come into Power BI service, one of the things you will see right now, so this is my workspace within Microsoft. So initially, we used to have a lot of clutter on the left navigation. So we've changed a lot of this right now. So here, you actually now have very, very simple way to see what I have here is a featured dashboard. Every day when I come into Power BI, I want to see this featured dashboard. So this is the featured dashboard. I get my work done based on looking at the data here. This is the featured dashboard. But you also have the ability to mark a set of dashboards that are shared to you as favorites. That's what you see in the favorites. And then you also have recent dashboard. What are the recent dashboards or reports, what you have visited more recently? The third area which you see here is apps. So this is essentially a set of people who are authoring the reports. They can actually create a new workspace, prepare all of the content, and then package this as an app and share it to all the users. So once it's shared, you can just install it, and then you can start leveraging it so that like you don't get a clutter navigation from directly in terms of all of the apps getting published to you. It's a separate container. We can actually go and use it. And then we've also separated out shared with me workspaces and my workspace. This is all the content which I've created. I'm using it for my purposes. And then these are workspaces which I have access to. Okay. So I'm going to switch over to a different account. So a couple of things which I wanted to highlight here. So this is the same navigation which you see here. So now I'm going to switch over to one of the accounts where we have the apps created. So here, one of the key areas here is you have the dashboards, you have the reports, workbooks, and data sets. Now I can create and package all of this into an app. Here I can go and update the app here. So here I have the overall, I can provide a description, provide a background color, and then what are the various contents which are there as part of this. And then I can also give specific access to entire organization or specific individuals. I can provide these apps and navigate them. Now, once I do this, I also get a constant URL. This is one of the key features and functionality. When I share dashboards and reports, and when they customize it, then the URL completely gets changed. And then that's been a challenge in terms of how to share a common URL. So one of the enhancements we made is the app URL is going to be constant. So you can actually reference in your email or whatever communications you have. You can directly share this to the end users. So this is one of the things. Once you publish the apps, you can actually go into apps, and I can do get apps, and I can actually go and get the apps directly and install it. So I'll just show you a slightly different view here and how the apps look like. So here, I've gone and installed a couple of apps here. I can go and see the app. I can go into the container here, and it'll come back with the list of dashboards and reports, which I can actually go and see the data. Right, so these are all how you would go into apps. So now, in terms of Power BI Premium, get back here. So here, a lot of the customers, they wanted dedicated resources in the cloud, just separate for their organization, because I want to be able to I have X number of users. This is the peak time in terms of the users. I want a dedicated capacity. Don't put me into the shared capacity. So that's why, based on the feedback from a lot of the enterprise customers, we've actually created dedicated resources in the cloud. That's what you can actually go and subscribe for and leverage it. So it gives you the flexibility also in terms of licensing. Because if you have like 100,000 employees and you want to be able to do Power BI Pro, because a lot of them use Pro content, if you want to use it, then the price is significantly higher. Now, with the ability of, you have the flexibility in terms of the licensing and capacity model, you can actually create apps and actually share it to the end users. So end users don't have to have the Pro model. If it's in a shared capacity, then they can have free license and still leverage apps completely. So that's one of the key benefits in terms of you can, depending on your needs, you can actually get the right license for you. It gives you a great scale and performance because you are in a dedicated capacity. You know how many data sets, how large they are. You can start using it. And then extending onto on-premise, as part of Power BI Premium, you also get Power BI Report Server free as part of Power BI if you subscribe for Power BI Premium. So that you can actually leverage in terms of on-prem capabilities, and then obviously for embedding analytics as well. Okay. Switching over for Power BI Premium demo. So here you saw, when I went into this apps, so here you see these icons here. These are these are workspaces here, and this icon specifically shows that it's actually a premium workspace. So you are dedicating capacity for that particular workspace. This particular workspace is assigned a premium capacity, so that all of the content within that particular workspace will be running in a premium capacity. So it's dedicated capacity just for your company, and you can go and actually use it. Okay. So now I was hoping to do one more additional demo, but we're short on time. So I'm going to just go into the admin portal and show you a little bit more in terms of. So this is if I'm an admin. I actually have the ability to go to admin portal. That's one of the reasons I couldn't show this in Microsoft tenant. This is a separate tenant which we have created because I'm not an administrator in the Microsoft tenant. So this is a separate tenant which we have created specifically for demos. How many of you have seen the admin portal, or do you have access? A couple of people probably. So this is, if you have admin privileges in terms of your tenant, then you'll be able to go into here and then go to admin portal. This is where you will come and land. You can actually go and see usage metrics of who's using the data overall across your tenant. How is the usage overall, entire tenant? But primarily, I want to show in terms of the premium settings. This is where you would come and buy in terms of what capacity you want to buy. You have various capacities which you can go and buy. Once you purchase the capacity, you will be able to come here and you can assign who are the people whom you can assign premium capacity in terms of assigning a workspace into premium or non-premium. This is where you would come and do all the administration related to that. Okay. So finally, in terms of, this is I wanted to talk about here in terms of better tools for getting your job done. So this is essentially what people have asked for is I want to be able to see how many people are using the Power BI, how are they using it, what is the usage overall. Now, initially we added at a tenant-wide level, what are the top most used dashboards and reports. We provided that visibility, which I showed you. Now, people wanted to see at a much more granular level. That's what we introduced very recently in terms of how is the usage metric overall. So here, this is the tenant-wide view in terms of what are the various dashboards and who's using it, how are they using it. So this is a tenant-wide view. What you see here. So this is essentially at an entire tenant level, but you need to be a tenant admin. Most of them are not tenant admin. So essentially, if you go into a specific workspace here, let's go into this demo workspace here. Not sure whether I switched over to the right one. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so here, so after I come here, so this is where you can actually see usage metrics. So I'm in a specific workspace, and here in the specific workspace, if you have content, you can actually go and click on this particular one. You can actually go and see who's using this, and you can actually see the view usage metrics here within this. So here, very few people have used it. This is actually a Power BI report. You can actually download it. You can start using it. You can leverage all of the content. This will essentially drive in terms of if you have shared your app or essentially a set of dashboards, you can actually go and see who's using it. If there's a certain set of users are not using it, then you can go and find out why are they not using it, what are the enhancements you need to do at the dashboard level. Okay. So this is essentially understanding the overall impact. So you can essentially see the usage metrics on the dashboards and reports. This is specifically so that you can drive appropriate behavior so that or what are the things which are blocking from people using it. Then you can make appropriate enhancements to the dashboards and reports. If you want to do overall at the entire tenant level, you have the tenant usage metrics. And then if you want to maintain compliance and investigate who's using it, is a specific data set going outside of your company, then you have auditing as a functionality, specifically for enterprises to go and audit who's using what dashboards. If I want to stop certain dashboards from leaving the company or revoke access, you can actually go and see who's using which of the dashboards. So all of these functionality are being used within Microsoft heavily overall. And then I did this a little bit earlier. and then getting into solution template. Let me go into powerbi.com here.
So who of you has already seen the solution templates that we provide in Power BI? Quick raise of hands. Okay, only a handful of people. That's why we want to talk about it. So if you go to the website by itself, I mean, here's where you learn about Power BI itself, but then we have the solution template gallery here, which brings you to this page, where basically there's a set of templates that you can use to set up certain scenarios. So for example, if you want to do campaign and brand management, for your Facebook account, you can go here and actually give it a test drive. The one that I want to show quickly, because I know many customers are using SAP for their financials and so on. So if you want to do some Power BI analysis on top of your account receivable data, you might want to consider looking into that particular solution template. Do you want to log in with yours? Or should I
no, you can use yours. So just to give a context in terms of solution template. So people have various amount of data and various different sources. What we heard from customers is essentially, I need to go and hire someone significantly to do a lot of this work. What can Microsoft provide? So what we did was, what are the common scenarios? And what we prepared is kind of a template which can be going and applying, pulling in multiple sources, and essentially it pulls together a lot of the other Azure services to prepare the entire template, which is various templates which you have prepared. So for example, for Twitter or Facebook, in terms of campaign and brand management. So what it does is essentially goes and looks at your company data, or whatever it might be, you are configuring in your tenant, and it gets you about 70 to 80% of the way in terms of the important things. You don't have to go and create these reports overall. Once that's installed, then you have the opportunity to work with a partner to go and customize the solution just specifically for you. So it gives you about 70% of the way in terms of preparing all of the content, and then you can go and customize with the help of a partner who is actually approved, who use this solution template and leverage it. So that's what helps you in terms of getting into a faster deployment cycle to leverage your data for data-driven decisions.
We would need to log on here, Siva, but since we only have 2 minutes left, I think we'll skip that part.
So what it helps is essentially you can actually go and do a test drive, which will help you directly to go and see the reports, how do these reports look, and then being able to do this. Okay. We'll take questions and then we can demo. So finally, we recommend go and monitor all of the new functionality. We have blog in terms of blog.powerbi.com. Go and leverage all of the things so that you can actually see what are the latest features that are coming out in Power BI. Now we have the community. So I want to do a quick view of the community. This will be the last demo. So if you go to community.powerbi.com, so here you have all of the key functionality. If you have questions related to Power BI Desktop or service, you can actually go and post it on the forums here so that you have the community helping you in terms of various questions which you want to have answers. But in addition to that, one of the things which we created is these data stories galleries and themes gallery. These are like templates where community is contributing to it. So here, we just introduced this less than a year, like around August or something like that, we introduced a gallery where people can actually take public data sets, prepare these reports, and directly publish them here in the community. It's a great way for you to go and look at how are other reports prepared. So you will get various design patterns overall, and actually go and leverage directly from the community. So this is essentially on public data set. You can actually see what visuals they are using. You can actually download these reports. You can actually take a look how they've done this. So this is one. In addition to that, you also have themes gallery. So where people have prepared various themes, and this is essentially was released only in February. You can see like already quite a lot of themes have been created by various community members. You can actually download these themes. You don't have to go and manually create this, but you can actually download and use it. And we also host webinars directly here. So let me come back down. So you have webinars and video gallery. So all of the webinars, you can actually come and see all the webinars directly here. It's available for you, on a specific topic by the MVP or by the community. You can come and leverage it. Now, so these are the things where we have seen a lot of success in terms of community coming and contributing, as well as leveraging it. And we are also trying to improve the overall design of the community as well. So once they go in and log in here, I believe I'll remember the password. Let me double check. This is the last demo which I wanted to show you. So we're also working on improving the functionality in the community. So this is not yet released. So this was, if you come in, depending on who you are, we will automatically, we're trying to detect what are the various things, any specific context-sensitive thing, where you are coming from, what are the conferences, essentially what a welcome message for you, as well as going and looking at various events which are potentially closer to your location, where you're logging in from, and then going and looking at all of the galleries. You can actually go and see all of the galleries together here. In a consolidated view, much more easy for you to go and navigate and access. These are things which we are working on. Once it's ready, this will get released as well. Okay. And if you have, go and start leveraging it. And if you have any features, requests, go and request on ideas.powerbi.com. That's the primary mechanism by which we hear to the customers, understand what are the features that people are asking, and then being able to prioritize and work on the features. And that's. Wanted to thank you for listening in.